Is this thing working? Welcome to another episode of Is This Thing Working?
Here we are again.
And we're going to do more and more. So please be watching and please share, like, follow, all of the things. And we have hit another goal. So thank you so much for your helping us.
Thank you so much for your support.
For your support. We love it. It's so much fun. We like the fact that we get to bring you true news. And good, factual,
honest
opinion.
Based on facts.
Like James said. Because today we're going to talk about Disease X. Do you remember back what happened in 2020?
I've tried to forget 2020, but I remember every bit of it, man.
Yeah. They call it
what a bad
COVID-19.
Yeah.
But 2020 was actually the bad year. And guess what? That was an election year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's an election year now. And now we have coming out
pretty much
the same thing.
Yep. The same
exact
game.
Same thing.
Everybody called it back in 22. They said,
did.
Get ready because the next election, we're going to have a new pandemic.
Here
Everybody said it.
Yes.
Do you wonder if people were just kind of halfway like joking or were... I know some people were serious. Some people were probably joking, but here we are.
You know, and the thing is, when COVID-19 happened, there was even rumors of the same sort beforehand of something drastic happening, you know, before 2020. And now the same thing is happening.
Yep.
In 2024. And we've been talking about it since the pandemic that this could happen again. And no one has solved any problems. They got Fauci in there now.
Yeah.
Talking and just saying, well, I don't know how we got that information. Or how many times did he say, I don't know. 500? I know it was a lot.
Oh, it had to have been.
So they haven't solved anything. So guess what? And the WHO and the World Economic Forum all of a sudden are coming out with fresh warnings from the World Health Organization that an unknown, they're calling it in quotations, Disease X, could result in 20 times more fatalities than the coronavirus pandemic. What novel efforts are needed to prepare healthcare systems for the multiple challenges ahead?
So basically what they're saying is, we've created this disease. We know it's 20 times stronger, but we don't know how we created it or what it's going to do. Maybe not.
But if they know this disease is coming out and they're trying to prepare for the healthcare systems
that's my point. That's my point. So you've created it and you're just going to sit back and wait to release it. This is crazy.
Yeah, but they're saying that they've already gotten a vaccine for this supposedly Disease X. AstraZeneca is in on it. Liz Churchill tweeted this today. And she asked a question, can anyone please tell me how it's possible that the World Economic Forum has the precise knowledge of Disease X? Why are these self-anointed fortune tellers asking us to prepare for a virus in advance? We need to have a serious talk about Ukrainian biological weapons labs. I thought that was pretty cool because this is exactly where it would come from.
Sure. And we nobody really talked about the bioweapons labs in Ukraine in quite a little while.
No, it hasn't. It's been real quiet. You know, and Putin has been warning about is the Ukrainian labs that are there. How many labs that the United States is footing the bill for. And y'all know that our taxpayer money continues to go over there to help Ukraine build Disease X.
Oh, yeah, you know they are. You remember, too, wasn't it back at like the start of their little war there, month or two in, maybe 6 months in? Remember when everybody was shitting their pants because they thought one of the bioweapons labs had been hit. Remember, was it a bioweapons lab? It was.
Yes.
But they hit their headquarter building. You know, so then it was like, oh, okay, everything's fine. I'd have to look it up, but I remember.
I do remember that.
Yeah. And how it was almost a big story, and then when they figured it out, they were like, oh, they just hit the headquarters building. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. Just the headquarters building. Nothing's escaped, but, Like, we feel really better knowing that,
Yeah.
because I believe anything you have to say.
Well, it was just the fact they didn't want us knowing that they had those bioweapons labs there.
That's exactly right. They want to cover it up like they cover everything up. The WEF and WHO are reverting back to similar patterns that they did during COVID. Now, at one time, I do remember that the WHO was trying to become the world, medical system.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to take over the world's medical system.
They are.
So Biden signed this executive order. We need to really be paying attention to this executive order that the WHO will be. This is what's happening. Now, we can call that disease X. We can call it anything. But the World Health Organization is going to come out and become our health care, pretty much.
They're going to be the ones to call the shots.
Yes,
yeah.
They're going to call the shots. So if there's a disease X or not, we're not going to know it because these people are Chinese Communist Party.
Well, the thing is, it's not so much that they're going to be able to do that, but if they declare whatever they deem as a pandemic, then they're going to be able to tell us what we can and cannot do. They're going to be the ones to make those calls.
Mm-hmm. But I will tell you this. I do not think people will put up with at all the lockdowns, the COVID tyranny, the masks, the closing down of schools, the Zooms, the working from home, and the list goes on and on and on of what we had to put up with.
Yeah, the essential worker thing and all of that.
Yeah.
And then when we did try to fight back, remember what we dealt with then? Censorship.
Yep. Censorship.
Once the truth began to come out about COVID, about the origins of it, once the truth began to come out about the efficacy of masks, once Dr. Robert Malone began to come out and talk about it, a lot of doctors began to come out and talk about all of this stuff. At that point was when all the social media platforms just clamped down on everybody and started censoring any and all kinds of information that they could that dealt with the debunking of the severity of the COVID disease and the vaccinations.
And the thing is, a lot of people out there, for example, I got right in front of me Dr. Peter McCullough. He was one of the best doctors to really get true information from, and they just deleted him everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he could not, tell people, hey, if you did this, this would help you.
Mm-hmm.
He could not do anything. And this is what he says about this disease X right here. He says, disease X is a concept to create a pathogen, virus, bacteria, etc., in order to generate highly profitable government purchases, vaccines, which are administered to the whole world over and over again. The business plan of COVID vaccines formed by WEF and Gates Foundation.
Wow.
Yeah, this is Peter McCullough.
Wow.
How scientists are preparing for the next pandemic.
Well, the reason that I brought up the thing about the censorship is because the way big tech clamped down on everybody the first time around. And in the tweet that you read from Liz Churchill, one of the replies is from the Mel K show. And this is what he says. He says, you've got to wonder if this aligns with the bizarre email at Google about a February, quote unquote, sensitive event that will require more stringent censorship measures. Read the last line of this letter. Read the last line. At this point, the WEF Great Reset pandemic planners seem overtly desperate. And this is a letter that Google put out for a February sensitive event, is what they call it. And they start this letter out. I'll read this letter. It says, Dear advertiser, in February 2024, Google will update the inappropriate content policy to clarify the definition of sensitive events. A, quote, sensitive event is an unforeseen event or development that creates significant risk to Google's ability to provide high-quality, relevant information and ground truth and reduce insensitive or exploitative content in the prominent and monetized features. During a sensitive event, we may take a variety of actions to address these risks.
Wow.
So they're even dating it come in February. We felt the need that February we're going to do this, just so you know, in preparation for what? A sensitive event. Like what? Disease X.
Exactly. From the same people who brought you COVID-19.
Yep. Brought to you by, yeah. But yeah, so, and it's nutty because you hear about this disease X, and then you hear about this. The letter goes on. They're going to go on to explain to you, since you might not understand what a sensitive event is. And they give examples. Yeah, examples of sensitive events include events with significant social, culture, or political impact, such as civil emergencies, natural disasters, public health emergencies, terrorism and related activities, conflict, or mass acts of violence. So those will be sensitive events. We see sensitive events in the news daily.
Yes, we do.
So think about this now.
What did they say just then? They're also talking about, the election's coming. Everyone knows this. So what do they expect? What, another January 6th? Or
well, who knows? I mean, they're going to create...
They're going to create all kinds of stuff.
They're going to create chaos, and this time they're not going to let you talk about it because they're going to cover it under this policy right here.
Yes.
They're going to censor the information to you.
Yes.
Is what they're telling you. And they go on, bless their hearts, examples of what we prohibit, which is non-exhaustive. Okay, they give you some examples of the things they prohibit. Examples could be products or services that exploit, dismiss, or condone the sensitive content, including price gouging or artificially inflating prices, that prohibits, restricts access to the vital supplies, sale of products or services which may be insufficient for the demand during a sensitive event. Also, we're going to not, anyway.
I know. It's really hard to understand what their issue is with the American people, or with people in general.
Okay. And then,
to have their own opinion.
And then the next example they use is using keywords related to a sensitive event to attempt to drive additional traffic. So if there's a quote-unquote sensitive event and it involves you being able to describe it using the words terrorism, conflict, or mass acts of violence, what if we have riots? Will we not be allowed to call them riots?
No, because Democrats don't have riots.
If
we call it a mass violence, and they did it.
Okay.
Then,
what about all these? What about all these illegals that we know are coming across? They've caught terrorists, but they know a lot of terrorists have gotten away, have gotten through the border. What if, when they begin to commit acts of violence, are you going to be able to go on social media and go, hey, somebody needs to stop these terrorists? Well, is Google going to say they're going to filter all this searching for you so that you can't find the news articles and the truth that you need?
They do that already.
I know.
But yes,
I know, but it's going to be on a grander scale, and that's what they're kind of letting us know here. It's fixing to get bad again. 2020, I don't think we've seen anything yet.
No, I think it's going to get really bad.
Me too.
Especially after everything they have thrown at President Trump.
Yep.
And it's still not working.
Here's the next thing. And this is what it deals with, basically. It's all advertising. They're going to pull their advertisers from you, too, and they're going to cancel you.
Yes.
Okay, but here we go. Here's the third one. And remember I said, the Melke, he said to read the last line. This is another thing prohibited by Google. Claims that the victims of a sensitive event were responsible for their own tragedy or similar instances of victim blaming. Claims that victims of a sensitive event are not deserving or remedy or support, or claims that victims from certain countries were responsible or deserving of a global public health crisis. Last line again after the comma. Claims that victims from certain countries were responsible or deserving of a global public health crisis.
So they're going to pick and choose. They're going to throw this disease X at?
They're going to hide the information from you of where this is going to be coming from,
and where it's
and
going.
If you do find out
and
that
who
it's
has
coming, that's right. And if you do, through research and investigation, find out where it's coming from and you speak up about it, that last line covers that. You're not going to be able to go, hey, it came from China. It's the China virus. They're going to censor that.
Yes. Especially when we
If
know
it
it,
came
this
from
one
the
will probably come from Ukraine.
That's right. If it came from the Ukrainian bioweapons labs, you're not going to be able to say that. You can say it out in the street, but you're not going to be able to say it on social media or in print because they're going to prohibit it.
Right. And speaking of that, healthcare you were just talking about, the Center for Health and Healthcare is committed to improving global health outcomes by addressing trust issues, closing the gender gap in healthcare, and leveraging technology to transform healthcare systems. The center is also working to improve health security through public-private collaborations.
Wow.
Yes.
People, these are some things that you might want to even research too. We just began to delve into this today, but what you see right on the surface tells you... It
doesn't look good.
It tells you a lot of what we're going to need to know. We don't want to go through another 2020. I know you don't. I know I don't.
We cannot let the elite take over our country. It's unconstitutional for America, period.
Yes.
For this kind of tyranny. You know, this is the USA. We don't accept what these other world leaders do, or want to do. We need to stand up, and we need to rise up.
Is this thing working? Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. You know, we couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise.
and we'll see you next time.
We're out.